Alright guys, so now we're going to do scale number 2. And for scale number 2, basically you're finding two things. A number and its opposite, but also a number and its absolute value. So the first thing is you need to make sure that you have a score of at least 80 to receive full credit. And honestly, most of you can do even more than 80, to be honest. Now remember, to get started, we're going to click on this link right below. So once you click on it, it's going to lead you to the link. Now remember, make sure you are logged in through Clever, and you'll know if you're logged in if it says your name right here. If it doesn't say your name, that means, again, you need to log in through iExcel, and you would do that through Clever by clicking that blue C right over here. Okay, so basically a number and its opposite is the number with the opposite sign. So for example, the opposite of 5 would be, since this is a positive 5, the opposite of 5 would be negative 5. It's that simple. Okay, the opposite of 20, because it's a positive 20, the opposite would be negative 20. Okay, now, just so you know, if I have the opposite of negative 16, because it's a negative value, the opposite of negative 16 would be positive 16. Opposite of 19, again, would be negative 19, because it's the same number, just the opposite sign. Okay, so now here's what we're going to look at. The word absolute value. So if it asks you what is the absolute value on iExcel, it's going to ask you in two different ways. It's either going to say it by word, so what is the absolute value, or it's going to show you this sign right here, which looks like two straight lines, and the number is in between them, or two vertical lines. This also means absolute value. So they're either going to show you in this format, or they're going to show you by actually writing absolute value. So what absolute value means is how far is this number from 0? And absolute value is so simple, right? If I look at a number line right here, it's asking you how far away is 7 from 0. So 7 from 0 is 7 units. So the absolute value of 7 is literally 7. It's always this number, the positive version of that number. Okay, so now it's asking me, what is the absolute value of negative 6? So let's look at this first example right here. This is a different one. It says, what is the absolute value of negative 3? That means, how far away is negative 3 from 0? So if I look at negative 3 right here, negative 3 is 1, 2, 3 units from 0, which means the absolute value of negative 3 is positive 3. Okay, so same thing, the absolute value of negative 31 would just be a positive 31. The absolute value of any number is literally the positive version of that number, regardless. Okay, so here, the absolute value of negative 6 is a positive 6. Okay, and that's really all iExcel is going to ask you. So just a refresher, the opposite of 88 would be negative 88. The absolute value of 2, again, what this means is how far is 2 away from 0? That's literally what the absolute value is. And that would just be, oops, the absolute value of 2 would just be 2. So if the absolute value of a positive number, the absolute value of a positive number still stays positive. It doesn't become negative. That's different. That's the opposite. Okay, and just again, just to remind you guys, if you still need it, that these bar signs, right, these straight vertical lines, that stands for absolute value. So the absolute value of 4, how far is 4 away from 0? Would just be positive 4. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to call me and let me know. But that's really all you have to do, and make sure that your SMART score is 80.